Okay, cool. All right. You're set. Lighting's good. Got your virtual background. We're good there, right? All
Yeah.
right. Hey man, it's really nice to meet you. When I've been, wondering what Golden State was gonna do because I'm a huge 49ers fan. And and so like if my alliance wasn't to Texas, I would be a Golden State Storm fan for sure. But I'm certainly Texas elite to the core. But I was excited to hear about, what Golden State was gonna do, even though y'all haven't played a game yet.
Well, the
Simply
stock's
because
really
it's the
low.
Patriots.
It's the right time to buy, so on the bandwagon,
Right?
now's the time.
E exactly. I want I might get, like, a Golden State fan jersey this year and not tell nobody I got it, but we'll see what happens. Alright, man, I appreciate you coming on, for real. Let me grab the paper that I left downstairs, and then I'll be right back. So back when I was younger, I was just fine with stairs. Now, man, if I have a house on 1 level, I'm real good with that. Like, real well good with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I send my kids for lots of errands upstairs these days.
Exactly. Alright, here we go. In 3, 2, 1.
More than the mood, it's the weight and the will. Built for the climb, the story's the grind. This ain't just a pot, it's a whole state of mind. Limitless life. You can keep moving or stand still in fright. I came from nothing to this overnight. I'ma keep killing these stories despite all of the progress we make every day that we see. Man, these women are doing this right. Owning their lives in the day, working hard in the dark, then they balling their ass off at night. Yeah.
Welcome back to Unbothered, where we go beyond the X's and the O's. And Coach Dallas Hartwell of the Golden State Storm, the WNFC's newest franchise expansion. Coach Dallas Hartwell's from Nebraska, out there with the corn and nothingness, I assume. Wait, are you from Lincoln? Or are you out there with nothingness?
Out in small town Nebraska, way out west.
All right, so out in nothingness, University of a Nebraska alum holds degrees in political science. Coach Dallas answered the call to serve in the U.S. Army, did some tours in conflict zones in Afghanistan, is a social science educator with AEP World and U.S. History, and also the varsity head coach for multiple schools throughout his career, and currently the freshly called up Branson School head coach of 8-man football. And on top of that, Coach Dallas brings a sports business savvy to the table as a CFLPA certified contract advisor and director of player evaluation at the Gridiron Crew, where he navigates the intersection of pro football and athlete representation. So, as the newly appointed head coach of the Golden State Storm, Coach Dallas is the man entrusted to continue the excellence of the WNFC, set the tone for this new expansion franchise, and turn them into perennial winners right off the bat. So today, we got our military vet, we got a Nebraska Cornhusker, go Cornhuskers, we got an educator, a coach, a CFL agent, a leader of men and women, all in one powerhouse guest. Welcome, Coach Dallas Hartwell, to Unbothered. Let's get into it. Coach, I am very interested in understanding how you got into football in general, because I saw there were some stints up there in Canada too.
Yeah, well, I mean, I grew up in Nebraska. I was a young kid during the '90s when Nebraska was winning all those national championships. So my parents gifted me, or I guess you could say cursed me with the name Dallas. It was great to be a young football fan named Dallas in the '90s. So
Mhm.
I think that just really created a lot of enthusiasm for the game for me. And also, I'm just a very uncoordinated athlete my entire life. So football was really the only thing that I was going to be able to play and be good at.
That's the beauty of the game of football, right? Man, I played basketball for so long, got into football after college. With basketball or other sports, right? Like the body shapes. You know how the individual moves, like right. Like you could pick out a basketball player, or a soccer player in the street. But with football, you could be anybody, you know what I'm saying, have any body shape, be coordinated, uncoordinated, athletic, just, a meathead, musclehead, it doesn't matter. And that's the beauty of football, man. It really is a sport that everybody can play. So
Yeah,
so
I agree with you.
so a Nebraska fan in the 90s. So if I actually turn on these lights, you're gonna be really upset with those green and orange U's in the back of me. So I won't do that to you. So
Thank you.
you went on. Did you play football at Nebraska, or you just went on to go to school there?
No, I started out at a small school called Doane College. It was an NAIA. Started out there and then went to the University of Nebraska, Omaha, which used to have a D2 program back in the day, a pretty solid D2 program. But it was a lot of things, mostly just conflicts with the military. That I was in the army at the time, and then just that was a big part of it. And so I ended up at the University of Nebraska in Lincoln. Wanted to be a Cornhusker my whole life. Ended up there and really enjoyed it. And got my degree from UNL.
So what's that like being, because isn't Lincoln, like, the only thing that's really there, like, the capital and the school?
Yeah. So on game days in Nebraska, just the stadium is the third largest city. So they've sold out every game since 1962. Yeah, it's Omaha, Lincoln, and then Memorial Stadium on game day.
Wow,
That's the largest cities.
that's pretty cool. So, okay, so, went ahead and went to serving in the military, did some tours in Afghanistan and conflict zones. You think football prepares you for that, or you think that prepares you to coach football? Which one do you think it was?
Yeah, I think football definitely prepared me to be in the military. Just growing up playing my whole life, just learned a lot about toughness, working through injuries and boo boos and being resilient, having to deal with a variety of different leaders. So, I always tell this story is you look back at the history of football, 100 some years ago, they were going to outlaw it because there was about 300 people every year that were going to die and or that were dying playing the game. And Teddy Roosevelt actually stepped in. He said, "No, we can't outlaw this game. It's too important for the integrity of our country, for how we're developing young people, and in particular the people that we need, fighting men in our country." So, football was this close to being outlawed, but they said it was too integral to our country's foundation.
That's insane. I didn't know that. I guess I should have assumed that a history teacher was gonna come on and drop some history notes here.
Yeah,
Mm,
so they said, "You know what?"
okay.
Because everybody back then, everybody was kinda bunched up and ran at each other, and, it was pretty violent. They said, "We gotta find ways to spread it out a little bit and, maybe, I don't know, throw the ball."
Oh, so that's when the forward pass was invented.
Yeah, that played a pretty big
Gotcha.
role in it.
Okay, I gotcha. That makes sense. So then, okay, so you went from there to Canada for a stint. I think I read somewhere that your wife was up there in school, so you went to live up there. So how did you get involved in the CFL?
Yeah, I've actually been a fan of the CFL since I was a little kid. It's kind of a long story, but just through the football community as a kid, I had a lot of friends from Canada who played high school football in Canada. And so fell in love with the Canadian Football League. There was a lot of Nebraska legends that went up there to play for a little bit, and Nebraska running that option. A lot of those guys didn't have an opportunity to transfer their game into the NFL, but they did have an opportunity to go play in Canada, and that gave me a lot of interest in the league. So when my wife woke me up one morning and said, "Well, I got an opportunity to continue my PhD, but we'd have to move to Canada," I said, "Great, I love Canadian football. Let's do it."
So then you just show up to the game one day as a fan and was like, "Hey, I'm Dallas and I wanna be an agent?" Like, how did this occur?
Yeah, I mean, when I was living in Edmonton, first of all, Alberta, Canada is one of the best football communities I've ever been in. They have little league football, high school football. There is junior football, and there's college football, and then you have the multiple CFL teams there. And what I love about Canada is just everything's so community based. So if you had a passion for something, even, at the highest level there, it's like you could touch it, you could be involved. And so
Mm,
just really fell in love with the game there. I really enjoyed coaching Canadian football. It's a little different with 12 men and the bigger field, but allows you to be a lot more creative, which I really enjoyed. It wasn't like American football where it's kind of an X and a Y. It's
yeah.
really different. You really have to be creative and have solutions every week.
So there's 12 people on the field in Canadian football?
There's 12 people, you can have several players going in forward motion. The field is really wide, it's really long too, and the end zones are 20 yards wide, so it's a
Mm,
bit more of a speed game. So if you
yeah,
can get the ball, I mean, and that's American football too, but if you get the ball to a really good athlete in space, there's just a
right.
lot more big plays.
So what position is different of the 11? What's the 12th position?
Yeah, it's usually an extra wide receiver or an extra
Okay.
defensive back. Yeah,
Okay,
that's
so it's not a different
usually what
position,
you
you
see.
just get an extra player.
Yeah, it's an extra player, and I
Gotcha.
would say when I try to explain it is it's not this simple, but I would think defensively, think of like a dime defense plus 1
Mhm.
defender.
Okay.
So, Yeah, I usually think of it
They
that
have
way,
s
and then offensively, just think of plus 1 receiver.
Gotcha. Okay, so you have 6 DBs instead of 5, and then everybody else.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, pretty
Okay,
much.
I gotcha.
Yep.
That's pretty cool, man. So, I read somewhere about John Wooden shaping and Tom Osborne shaping your mental game for the sport of football and actually for life. Um, so would you still say they're your mentors or your influences? They shaped your coaching style, and what about them stuck out to you to hold on to it?
Yeah, I've probably I mean, I've read so many coaching books. It's just so interesting learning about, Steve Spurrier, Barry Switzer, all these coaches that have put books out, and they all seem to go back to, you know what, I learned from Tom Osborne, I learned from John Wooden. And I think a common thing that happens with young coaches is usually early in your career, you struggle or you realize that you don't have the solution for everything. And, Wooden and Osborne were just so stoic,
Yeah.
but just a look on their faces or their demeanor, you wouldn't know if they were up 45-0 or down 45-0, or if it was the last play of a game, and everything's on the line. So they just really had this, they put things in proper perspective. And I think, I remember my first year as a head coach, and I remember we blew a 20-6 lead in the playoffs. And I remember I honestly thought I was going to die. I thought I was going to have a heart attack on the sideline. I was so distressed. And just reading from Wooden and Osborne, they gave me a lot of perspective in life about, football is great. It's great to be passionate about it, but it's not everything, and you can't really control the outcome of games. So I mean, in terms of philosophy, they've been my biggest mentors, but in person, Coach Mozzie Moyd at Marin Catholic High School, later in my coaching career has definitely been, in terms of a personal relationship, he's been my biggest mentor.
Makes sense. I saw there that, there was something about you thanking him for getting you back into coaching football whenever you thought that you were gonna hang it up. That Coach Maz, that guy?
That's Coach Moz. He's the man.
Okay.
Yeah, I love that guy. I got 2 little girls and, had a couple of rough seasons at my last school, and I was like, maybe it's just time to just focus all that dad energy, and definitely gonna get there soon. He said, "I really would really love to have you over here." Had a few nice seasons over there with him, and just learned a tremendous amount. And so, he's a great man. He runs a great program over there at Marin Catholic. It's one of the best in America as far as I'm concerned, and he just creates a lot of great young men.
Yeah, it's a lot of times it's about who you know and how they can bring you along in some of your toughest times, man. It's always good to have people, in your circle who can see through what you're going through and then say, "Nah, I got you. Come on over here. Come on,"
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. So, if you had one lesson from your past coaching experience, that you're gonna bring into your experience with the Golden State Storm, what's that lesson gonna be?
Yeah, I think it's that there's really no secret sauce. I think that, the reality is, and this is just what I've gotten out of, the first thing Nick Saban will tell you, one of the, probably the best college football coach of all time. He
Yeah.
says, "What was the secret to his success?" Well, I had good football players. I had good young people who wanted to be developed and wanted to be pushed, and it helped that they were great athletes as well. So I mean, that's the recipe to a successful football program. Is that as a coach, I think there's a lot of great coaches out there. I think there's a standard of coaching, and I think there's a lot that meet this high standard. And at the end of the day, it's really about you got to find the right people to assemble your team. So it really kind of comes down to the players. Coaches can create structure, they can enforce discipline, but at the end of the day, you have to have the right individuals out there to win. It really does come down to the players.
Yeah, makes total sense. I was sitting down talking to my father-in-law just like last week, and he started going into how he joined all these organizations and it's leading all these organizations trying to find the secret. And he goes, he goes, the secret is there is no secret. Like so like what you just said about no secret sauce. I'm like, man, it must be a thing because now I've heard it 2 times in about a week span. So it must be
Yeah.
true. So have you started to build out your staff yet for Golden State?
Yeah, I have a few coaches that I've been working with in the last few years who were really excited to want to be a part of this. They're just really enthusiastic about, not just getting to coach football at a higher level, but also, being part of something that's important to them, like it's important to me. So it's not just the football aspect, but for the fact that we really believe we're going to be doing something historical here, or be a part of that. So yeah, I have a few coaches, four coaches that I've worked with at the high school level for the last several years, and then we're also lucky enough to have a coach from the Bay Area Panthers in the Indoor Football League who's going to be joining us. And then for our last spots, I'm actively looking for women coaches. That's what I'd really like to fill up my staff with. So if you know anybody in the Bay Area that wants to coach, I'm really eager to hire some women to our staff.
Gotcha. So are you looking for position coaches, for coordinators, or what kind of, so just so we can put the bug out there and we can clip this, and actually let me put a mark in here so I can make sure to clip it. We can clip this
Yeah,
and it can be one of your first that we push out there. So are you looking for coordinators, position coaches? What in particular should said woman be experienced in doing?
specifically defensive coordinator. And
Gotcha.
experience would be great, but enthusiasm will do. Um, I can help anybody that's got a open schedule and great enthusiasm. I'll help them through that process to be a great defensive coordinator.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So hopefully we can help you fill your defensive coordinator spot with a little clip here that will push to everybody. So you're looking for a defensive coordinator. So that means, are you going to be calling plays or you're not going to be calling plays?
I'm going to be calling plays, but the way our defense is set up is that, it's really built on what the other team's doing. So if we see this formation, this is how we'll adjust. And then there's a little bit of, situational, let's go, 4th and 20. We're going to run this coverage. We're going to send a blitz over here, things like that. But it's really our base defense will have an answer for everything. And we just need someone that can ensure that it's right players are in place and that we're making the right adjustments.
Everybody's moving at the right. That makes sense. Okay, cool. So how did you learn about this role with the WNFC? Had you known about the WNFC prior to that?
I wish I could say that I did, but I did not. And honestly, it was just kind of something that fell in my lap. I wasn't familiar with the league at the time, but I met the owners, excuse me, Jake and Brad, and they were very professional. They were, the first thing that I asked them was, I assumed it was kind of like more semi-pro recreational or something like that. And then they explained to me that, it's a very established league that's out there. And when I watched the game on championship game on ESPN, I was really blown away with the production, the quality athletes, and the coaching in particular. You know, um, yeah, OJ in particular, fantastic coach, and just really love her enthusiasm. Didn't even realize that she was the CEO of the league at the time, and I just loved how genuine she was with the players, and how much you could tell she cared about everybody, and was just a real person.
Yeah, that's for sure. If there's one thing that is for sure, that if you know her, you love her. And if you're on that team, you'll run through a brick wall for her, because what you see is what you get. Like there is
Bet.
no, yeah, there's no, this is how I am in front of the camera and this is how I am with y'all. Like, no, man, she is not like that. Like, what you see is what you get no matter what. So, it's good people. She's real good people, excellent head coach, and a really good leader of men and women. So, um, it's the WNFC is growing year over year, right? And there's obviously competition with the WNFA, and I don't know if the women WPFL is still out there. I'm not sure about that. But there's a lot of other leagues, right, where women can choose to play, and there's a lot of other leagues where you could have chosen to coach, right? So I know that you said that the opportunity was greater because the you looked into what was going on with the league and all that stuff. But you also could have been like, I have the Branson School, I have Marin. I'm good over here. So what about the WNFC caused you to say, okay, you know what, I actually am going to take 30, 40 hours of my week? and actually push into the WNFC and also build a franchise from the ground up because it's not like you're going to an established where you already got 50, 60 roster players. You have to build this thing with your mentality, with your culture, your vision from the very ground up. You got to do the most work possible right now until October and then into, you know what I'm saying? So what about this league kind of pulled on your heartstrings and was like, "All right, I actually am gonna give my time to building this."
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, growing up, always passionate about football. My life's always been dominated by women. I don't have any brothers. I have two sisters. I live at home with my wife, my mother-in-law. I have two daughters. Most most of my closest friends growing up were many of them were women. And, I've always wanted, the closest people in my life to share the same passion with me. And, I understand why there's, not a ton of female football fans. There's a lot more now. I understand that. But, why it's not as common with women than men, it's because they don't get the opportunity to play. And so they don't have role models. So, this is something that I'm really passionate about. I really want to see this league grow. I want my daughters to see role models in the game of football and just in the game of life and have people that they can look up to. And, hopefully that'll lead to them, sharing the enthusiasm of this game with me. And I know that there's other dads out there and other husbands out there that would love to have that experience as well. So, um, you know, um, I just think it's a great opportunity to do something for women's sports, and I think really just to bring people together.
Yeah, that's beautiful. One thing I do love to see is the men pouring into this league because that's I know, a lot of people say, well, women should support women's sports. Well, yes, but what's driving women's sports revenue is not the women, it's the men, right? So the more the men pour into the league, the greater the league gets. And I talked to I think this is episode 3 or 4, where I talked to Kez Wesley, who was the league's offensive player of the year last year, and we were talking about how different the world looks, right? Is because when I was coming up and I asked my mom and dad, "Can I play football?" The answer was, "Hell no, you can't play football." Because boys play football. Now these young girls, 5 and 6 years old, when we do a got her back camp, they're 5, 6 years old at got her back. Seeing 30, 40-year-old women that have played the game at the high level for a long time, and it's such a beautiful transition to watch. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a different world, and I'm really excited for those young girls who actually get to see that from the age that I was when I was told no, and get to grow into the football player, because if I had the opportunity, I went on to play basketball in college, man. If I had the opportunity, I would drop basketball so long ago and just focus on football? And these girls, they have that opportunity, and it's a beautiful thing to witness. So, what excites you most about taking on this role and building this program with this expansion franchise with the Golden State Storm?
Yeah, I mean, it's really gonna be the relationships and just being able to see this thing grow. I told ownership when I came on, I'm very passionate about wanting to do this, and I told them, I hope you don't think I'm talking myself out of a job here, but I really would like to see this thing last for a long time, and I'd like to be able to turn over the keys to a female coach who's ready to take over. And I think just growing the game just with better, and I'm not talking about any teams in particular, but I mean just more experience. The more experience anybody can bring in to the league and provide something, it's going to create a better product. I know Jake and Brad are really big on wanting to see the women. They want to see them be compensated in some way. We want to start building towards that, towards more compensation for their time to make this, to keep building on what he's been built on in the last decade, to up the levels of professionalism. And, also is going to allow us to recruit better athletes and in return get more exposure and excitement for the fans.
Yeah, that's I think that's the one that I'm most excited for, right? Is, I don't technically play the game anymore. I just coach the game now. But to see the first woman fully support herself playing football, that's what drives me, you know, is to keep building the game for the first woman who wakes up, goes to workouts, goes to meetings, goes to football, goes to workouts, goes to meetings, goes to sleep. That's all they do. You know what I'm saying? Like, that would be a beautiful thing to witness. And so I absolutely share your enthusiasm and your excitement in that front. And The good thing news about the WNFC is that every franchise is in one accord when it comes to that. And so, if everybody in the WNFC, all 17 teams, just well, 15 now, just keep plugging along, we're gonna see that be the reality with a woman fully supporting herself playing football sooner rather than later, for sure. So, one sentence vision for the storm rolling into 2026. One sentence.
We are going to be a competitive, disciplined, enthusiastic team.
Yeah. Oh, that's a sentence for sure. Competitive, disciplined, enthusiastic. Okay.
Just like throw some adjectives out there.
Right? You're like, "Let me see which one." Nah, just kidding. Competitive, enthusiastic, and disciplined. Okay, so have y'all started, like, trying to, recruit players or anything like that?
We've been pretty lucky. We're in such a great location. We're
Yeah.
within driving distance of Sacramento State, UC Davis, Stanford,
Stanford. Yep,
Cal Berkeley. I mean, we're just so lucky to be right in this hotbed of just an amazing place with great female athletics. So we've had a lot of women locally that have shown interest. I think we have about somewhere between 70 and 100 women who are interested, and then in the transfer portal, the eligible free agents, we've received a lot of interest as well. So
that's
we're doing
cool.
our best not to leave any rocks unturned. Um, Hoping to build a good core of veterans and then surrounding them with just great athletes.
Yeah, yeah, bring it over yeah, makes total sense. You need that veteran leadership for sure. If you got a
Yeah.
team full of 50 people who've never touched the football, it's gonna be a crazy day for you. And if I'm not mistaken, Chicago was one of the expansion franchises this year along with the Jersey Shore and the Atlanta Truth. And Jersey started off winning, right? They kind of fell off the wagon towards the end of the season, but Chicago carried it through all the way to the playoffs. If I'm not mistaken, they did it just like that, bringing in a bunch of people with veteran leadership from the transfer portal, and then backfilling it with people who've never quite played football you know, and I think they went 6-1 until the playoffs and lost or something like that. So, it's a great
That's the
strategy.
blueprint.
That
That's the
right, it's a great
blueprint.
it's a great strategy and it works, and they also had the league MVP in Sarah Toibner too, so, is yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. She was a killer this year for sure. It definitely helps to have a good quarterback.
Yeah.
Coach, get a good quarterback. No, just kidding.
Hey, working on it.
Yeah, I know, man. So your message to your new players, right now headed into 2026, what would you say that is? For the players, for the fans, for the WNFC community, especially the fans in the Bay Area, your message to them.
Yeah. For the players, I would tell them that they're not always going to love me every day. I'm going to love them. I'm not going to make it easy for them to love me, but I'm going to tell them that I will do everything I can to push them to be successful and to be a winning program. So, the biggest thing I tell them is that I say, hey, when we've parted ways, we'll be the closest of friends and we'll be family. But you all need to get there before I get there with you because I got to keep you accountable. So, that's the biggest thing. Bring your lunch pail, be ready to work. We want to put together a team that's going to be really competitive and can do a lot of things. So for the fans that want to get out there, obviously, you get to be part of something that you can touch. I mean, it's a lot different than dropping $300 to go to a Niners game and to sit in the nosebleeds and be so far away from it. And, maybe you're going to, see Brock Purdy somewhere in the distance, somewhere at a grocery store or something like that. But I mean, the great things with leagues like this is, we're going to create an exciting experience for fans, something that they can touch, something they can be a part of. They can be interactive with it. They can get to know the players and be a part of it. When there's a new team that emerges, there's an opportunity for you to be a part of something. It's a community, of course, but also if you have the time to volunteer, that's fantastic too. Maybe it's a fan club. Maybe it's just buying that jersey and representing. I think it's going to be something that's really unique, and I know a big part of what we're doing is trying to provide a great fan experience for everybody that's going to be in attendance.
Yeah, yeah, that's one of the things like you were saying about WNFC that I love so much, and I think oh snap, we got kids.
Do you want to say hi?
Yeah.
Say hi.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Say hi.
Oh,
Hi.
hello. What's your name?
Millie.
Melly, I'm OC. It's very nice to meet you. I'm talking to your daddy about football right now. You like football? Yeah. Well, who's your favorite team?
Uh, that's Nebraska.
Yeah, Nebraska. Go Cornhuskers. I'm with you. It's very nice to meet you.
Say bye, baby.
Bye.
Bye. Melly was like, "What are you doing, and why is it taking too long?"
And yeah, what kind of topics go on right now?
Right? So I was saying, like, that's the blueprint, I think, for the WNFC that makes it so different. What you were saying is the intimacy of the league, right? The players are touchable, right? Like, you can
Absolutely.
reach out and we'll probably DM you back. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. You
and
can
I
get a
think
picture with your player.
yeah, like, you literally are walking on the field side by side with your favorite player, you know? There's right now, there's no security restrictions, thank God there's no security issues, right? But after the game, typically, they'll let fans onto the field, you know? It's just one of those things, that is different about the league, and it's something I think that the WNFC the WNBA is now trying to use that as the blueprint as well, right? Is they're getting more and more intimacy with their players and the fans. They're accessible now. And it's driving the growth of that league too. And I think as long as the league and OJ and Dillo continue to push accessibility and intimacy and closeness with the fans, um, what you and I said was one of our key drivers, which is seeing women succeed financially in this sport, will be we're almost there, you know? Um, and so that's cool, man. So, that was a pretty solid message, especially to the fans. Fan clubs are, I mean, heck, fan clubs are what drives the league. It drives revenue. It drives jersey sales. It drives, merch sales. So, Golden State Valkyrie fans, please come check out the Golden State Storm. Join the
Here we
fan
go.
club. There is a women's pro tackle football team in your area. Where you guys are gonna play at?
We have a pretty good idea. I'm not sure if I should say out loud quite yet, but we have a pretty good idea. We are kind of wrestling with the idea of whether we want a bigger venue, a really prestigious venue, which I think would be really cool for the players, and maybe look cool on paper versus a more intimate environment, which is what I think we're leaning towards. Something where the players are close to the action, and if you get 5,000 people there, it's going to look darn good on TV.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we went through as with Texas Elite too, man. Is we had this one venue. I think we were playing at UNT. It was beautiful, but it wasn't intimate. It wasn't us, right? So we were
Yeah.
like, this don't work.
Yeah.
We went back real quick to the smaller venues just because there's at the end of the game, it's a beautiful venue, but like there's no interaction with the fans because you got safe security.
Yeah.
Telling folks, what I'm saying? Like, it was, so yeah, are y'all gonna play in Oakland or in, San Francisco? Or nowhere
Pretty
near
sure we'll
those
be
2
playing in
areas?
the East Bay,
East
but,
Bay.
um,
Okay.
but again, that's not confirmed 100%, but I think we'll be playing in East Bay,
Gotcha,
probably in Oak.
gotcha, okay. So, alright, so, do you know, um, what the biggest challenge in growing the game is and how coaches can help, with that challenge and growing the game to where we envision it to be?
Mhm. Yeah, I think, some of the things that will be challenging is, right now you have so many athletes around the country who wanna play, who might be high caliber athletes, but, you're asking them to relocate for, if you start camp in December, or if you start camp in November and you're looking towards a championship season in June, you're asking someone to relocate for 7 months to a different area, right? And they're not being compensated for that. So they got to find full-time work. I know in a lot of instances, players have to pay for their own equipment, their own housing, their own medical, and so I think just removing those barriers, removing those obstacles. The overhead for football is incredibly expensive.
Yes, it is.
And yeah, and the only league that is profitable is the National Football League. The Canadian Football League is profitable some years, some franchises, but the United Football League, all these others, they're just because of overhead expenses, it's not profitable. You have to put an investment into it and to get that return. And so I hope we can look beyond the X's and O's in what we're doing and see like the bigger future. And I think the WNBA is a great model for that, and just how they're growing towards being a profitable entity, and just the fan excitement, how much it's growing. And so right now, I think that's a huge obstacle, is just getting the women into the venues and supporting them and allowing them to play, because the better athletes we have on these teams, the more it's going to grow, the more exciting it's going to be, the more people are going to want to watch, the more young women are going to feel like they have role models and say, I want to be that person. So I think that's a huge obstacle, um, uh, facing the league.
Yeah, absolutely. The better the athletes get, and I think that's why the NFL is so successful, right? Those are the top athletes in, well, besides baseball players and golfers, the top athletes in all of the world, right? Like those are. I watched a video yesterday on TikTok of, he was a undrafted rookie. I think he had just found out that he was going to make the 53-man roster no matter what. And he was on the rooftop, 300 and probably 30 pounds of his apartment in DFW, doing backflips. Right, like 325-pound man, 6 foot something doing backflips on the rooftop of his, and it was smooth, man. Like, it
Yeah.
looked like he was like, 1, 2, 3, 4, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was the smoothest thing I ever seen, and so, like, you see stuff like that, and it makes you realize, like, I know, like, those guys are the greatest athletes on the planet, and that's why the NFL is the way that it is, right? People wanna line up and see a 350-pound man run a 4.840. Like, they wanna line up and see, a slim 150-pound man catch over somebody, take a hit, and keep moving. They wanna line up and see Saquon Barkley jump backwards over somebody and keep moving, you know? So, yeah, if as soon as the WNFC is able to, and the reason they get like that is because they are highly compensated, right? I mean, you got guys coming out of college making $40 million off the bat, you know? So, if as soon as the WNFC is able to highly compensate people, I have a feeling that a lot of the women that are playing basketball right now, playing running track, throwing shot puts and discus, um, will make a different choice. And we kind of seen that, right? With the US sprinter, I forgot her name, declaring as a free agent this year in the WNFC. She has decided to jump ship from US track and field and come and play football in WNFC, right? So that's like the first sign that this is what people actually want to do. It's just that the opportunity doesn't quite exist the way that we want it to exist just yet, you know? So that was, I don't know. Are you going to be in the combine in Miami next month?
I wish I could be there. I mean, I got my fall season going on right now, so our
Yeah.
general manager will be in attendance, but right now I got the boys of fall going on. So
Yeah, yeah, so I saw that y'all play your first game on the 30th, which is next Saturday. Is that right?
yeah, yeah, we're
Down in
down in
Fresno.
Fresno on Saturday.
Yeah. Yeah, is this supposed to be a good matchup?
Yeah, so for 8-man football, there's no state championship. You pretty much have a Northern California champion and a Southern California champion. So this opening game is it's actually a big showcase, getting some solid media attention. And it's basically like, if we did have a state championship last year, which teams would have played? So we're the reigning North Coast section champion, and we'll be playing a Southern Coast section champion in this game.
That's pretty cool. So what's the difference in 8-man football? Who's left out?
Pretty much, and it depends, because you can move these players around however you wish. But I would say typically you take out the 2 tackles and a skill player
Okay.
offensively, and then
Yeah,
defensively, I would say probably like a defensive lineman. Probably 1 player at each position, but I'd say maybe 1 or 2 defensive linemen. Just depends on what kind of front you want to run. And then you lose maybe a DB. So it's
gotcha.
extremely difficult to coach defensive football in 8-man. It's very, very challenging.
Makes sense, especially when if you take out a lineman, you miss out on some pressure, right? So
Yeah, you
so now
if you were to
you
write
gotta
down
play coverage.
if you were to write down, like, here are the things that every defense needs to do: contain, gap responsibility, underneath the zone, deep zone. You're going to end up with like 11 things, 11-man football, or
Mhm.
10 things, and then you have 8 players to do it. So you got to pick and choose which week. What are you going to be missing?
Mm, that's interesting. Is the field still the same size?
It's typically smaller. It's usually an 80-yard field. It's more
Okay,
narrow. The end zones are the same size.
gotcha. Okay, so I was gonna say if it's the same size, man, they're all that's spread speeds football all day long, you know.
Yeah, it
Okay.
would be interesting. It's high scoring as it is, but I think if it was on a standard size field, I think you'd see teams scoring 100 points pretty regularly.
Definitely. You 8 people? Man, I'm throwing the ball out in the flats and letting dude do what he do all day long.
Yep.
Heck, I might
There
even
you
run
go.
it off the guards, you know what I'm saying? Just so tell me about Gridiron Crew. Um, I saw in there that you were a CFLPA, agent. Am I saying that
Yeah.
right? Okay, so
Yeah.
how did you get into that? And, how did you get into forming the Gridiron Crew with the other was it 3 guys? 3 guys.
Yeah. One of my oldest friends, Colin, he and I both worked in the United Football League, the original United Football League 15 years ago, like Sacramento Mountain Lions, Omaha Nighthawks. And so, it seems like yesterday, but it was a different league. There were some big name players, a lot of Pro Bowlers that were in that league. So we both worked there, became close friends, and he started a website, Gridiron Crew, where he was really just kind of doing draft evaluations, and he's a big fan of like smaller schools, D3, NAIA, and just helping those guys pursue their dreams to continue playing. So a few years ago now, we just kind of decided, hey, let's turn this thing into a player agency. We added our friend Nick into the fold. Nick's a high school coach out in Iowa, South Dakota. He's moved back and forth between those two states. And then we brought Aiden into the fold. He's been a great addition. He's our NFLPA representative. So, yeah, this was our second draft class this year. It's been really fun. We secured our first NFL contract. We had the largest signing bonus for an undrafted fullback ever.
That is
And
cool.
we've
For a
helped many.
fullback?
It's been Yeah,
Y
yeah, undrafted
Wow.
fullback. Yeah, Brock Lamp out of NIU, great guy, great young man, and so, we were happy to get him on our team, and, he was doing really great with the Pats. He's on injured reserve right now, unfortunately,
Mm,
but he got a nice signing bonus, and, looking forward to seeing him get healthy and get back on the roster next year.
yeah,
And then just, the guys that love the game and wanna play professionally, but, maybe don't get those NFL opportunities, we're able to help them play, in Canada or international or indoor. So it's been really fun getting to do it, just helping guys continue to pursue their dreams and play out the game for as long as they want to.
that's pretty cool. So are you guys, looking to expand it and be like those guys that like Clutch Sports and those guys? Or are you gonna keep it small?
Oh, I think right now we have a pretty big client list. I think right now we have about 100 athletes on our team. Because
Wow.
again, we're working with every league in the world. We're working with leagues in Europe, Mexico, the indoor leagues, Canada, the UFL, the National Football League. We have a really big Rolodex. We just made great relationships with scouts and every coaches and general managers in every league. So it gets to be a lot of work. We do have some contractors on our team that help us out with that, quite a bit, but I love it because it gives me an opportunity to watch football year round. I'll get up at 4 a.m. to watch a game, between an Italian team and a French team because we have a couple guys out there playing and trying to make the most out of it. So, and just having a good time and trying to keep their career alive.
Man, how do you what network is the Italian football football team on? How are you watching this?
Yeah, it's you stream it online. You can pay for it. Usually you got to pay. But yeah, I mean, if there's if, everybody's saying right now football's back, but for me, it never left.
It
I
never
get to watch
left.
football.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So with the CFL, actually with your football knowledge, I saw that you had a credo on your website, and Coach Dallas's website is Dallas Hartwell. Let me see, I got it up right here. Sites.google.com/Dallas Hartwell. That's the site. Is that it? Is that right? Yeah,
That sounds
Dallas
about
Hartwell.
right. Very creative web address.
Very creative. So if you want to find more information about Coach Dallas Hartwell, you can find him right there at sites.google.com/Dallas Hartwell now, or just Google it, Dallas Hartwell. It'll come up. That's how I found it. Google the man's name, it will come up. Now you got this credo. First off, I want to know where this credo came from, uh, because whenever I started playing women's pro football, I started on the team in Jacksonville, Florida, and I didn't know where it came from, but our head coach, had us saying this pregame every single game. And so when I saw it, I immediately went back to the cadence, right? It goes, the battles we go through in life, we ask for a chance that's fair. We ask for a chance to equal our stride, a chance to do our dare. If we should win, then let it be by the code, with faith and honor held high. And if we should lose, then we'll stand by the road and cheer as the winners go by. Day by day, we get better and better till we can't be beat, won't be beat. And then we used to end it with amen. So
Love it.
I I don't where does it come from?
Yeah, it comes from the University of Nebraska. So Baron
Okay.
Miles, in the early '90s, he was a DB at Nebraska. Was part of, I think, that first national championship team, and then had a nice long career in the Canadian Football League and became a coach in the CFL. But he came up with it one day, and it's been part of Nebraska's credo ever since. So day by day, I think that's a great credo for all of us in our lives. It's not every day is going to be perfect, but can we try to be better tomorrow? And all we can ask for in life is a fair chance. We're not always going to win. And when we don't, we got to be good sports about it. So we got to cheer the people that do win in life because, there's a sensitive way to say it. And then there's an unsensitive way. I think Bill Belichick said something about, the people that cry and complain and harp on their losses. Don't see a lot of victories later in life. So, I've always loved the mentality.
Yeah, he's definitely the picture of the insensitive way to say it. That's for sure. But I mean, heck, I mean, what are you gonna do? The dude's won what, six Super Bowls?
A lot.
Yeah, like it works. What can you say about it? Nothing. You know? Um, yeah, I didn't know that that was Nebraska. I know that I know he played professional football. His name was Darren. Um, and at this point, I've taken a lot of hits. I've forgotten his last name. His name is Coach Darren.
Yeah.
I know he played arena ball. I think he had a stint in the NFL. I mean, maybe he went to Nebraska. I don't know, but I always thought that was a pretty cool chant. I didn't know why we were doing it at the time. This was 11 years ago. But I remember, like, that's one that stuck in my head, and one that I've taken with me in professional life, right? Like day by day, we get better and better till we can't be beat, won't be beat. Amen. You know? Um, and so if that's what Nebraska's doing, that's why they always in the conversation right there. For sure. For sure. How you think they're gonna do this year?
But there's a lot of optimism. So we are overdue. So I just kind of roll with the punches as a fan from week to week. But we have some great coaches. They're good people. Got a great quarterback, some great receivers, and just gotta see what the defense looks like this year. So
Yeah.
at the
Y'all got
defense,
that y'all got that coach from Carolina, right? What was his name?
yeah, Matt Rule.
Yeah.
Did pretty well at Temple and Baylor. Not Didn't have a great run with the Panthers, but was
Nobody
known as a
does.
great builder at the other organization. Yeah, it's
Yeah, I
been a
think the
while.
only one that had a good run with them was, um, oh my gosh,
Ron Rivera,
Ron
John
Rivera.
Fox.
Yeah.
Yeah,
When he took him to the Super Bowl and then Cam Newton just decided to just crap the bed.
yeah.
But I mean, what are you gonna do? It's Peyton Manning, you know? Okay, so would you say you're a player's coach?
I think so. I think that's a tough one. I don't want to be known as a player's coach. I really don't want to, but I think I am. I think I'm not as tough as I used to be. So I do care about every individual that's on our team, and I will say my favorite thing about coaching football is really the relationships that you have. Is the championships and everything, they're great in the moment, but 20 years later, what matters is the relationships. And so, the kids that I've coached, we've won championships with them. Those championships matter. I've told those kids, I said, you know what, championships. I remember having a conversation. The championships, they were whatever. I'm just glad we did it together, whatever we did. And they always remind me, like, no, the championships mattered. We put a lot of time into it, so we're grateful you let us. But it's really the relationships. The first kids I ever coached, they're like 30 years old now, so they still reach out to
Wow.
me and will tell me, "Hey, I got a daughter," or I just graduated from law school, or I just got married, and that's what really makes a difference to me is just knowing that you had a positive impact in some.
So the first kids you coached were 30 years old. Aren't you're in your 30s, right? So you were
Yeah.
you were coaching them when you were like 14?
I gotta do the math on that, but I mean, I wasn't too much older than them, so I'm almost 40, and yeah, I started coaching in my younger 20s when they were teenagers. So,
Wow.
um, yeah, it's interesting to think that they're all grown up so fast.
Okay. So how do you keep yourself and your team um, flowing unbothered through tough situations?
Yeah, I think that stoic demeanor like Wooden and Osborne had. I think that's really important because if you freak out and if you're distressed, the players are gonna freak out and they're gonna get distressed. It's important to stay on top of players and keep them accountable. And, sometimes you got to raise your voice and be a little intimidating. But at the end of the day, what a coach does is picks people up. That's how you keep charging is, you have to keep playing the game. You can't quit. I mean, I've been on both ends of it. I've been a head coach on a team that's, won back-to-back championships and went undefeated and won every game by a large margin. And I've been a head coach on teams that lost some games by big margins. And, even when it's 35-0 at halftime, you got to keep playing because that's life. You can't quit. You got to go out there, and even if you're just playing for pride, you got to do it because that's the part about being an adult and taking care of business.
Yeah. I always
Bless
said
you.
that sports teach people some of the greatest lessons in life that you're going to ever get, right? And I always say that you can always tell somebody who didn't play team sports, not in a and not in a bad way, but in a how they handle adversity type of way, right? It's sports will teach you really, really quick in a humbling moment. The game is still going on, sir and ma'am. Like you, even if you have been humbled in this moment, you have to get up. You have to go. You have to go play another down, even if it's 70-2. You got to go play another down with the same excellence that you would if it was 0-0, right? And in life, these things happen, right? Like you get down in life 70-2. Like it's just life. None of us are undefeated at it. Um,
Yeah.
but if you
I'm gonna steal
don't
that.
have that, go ahead.
I'm gonna steal that. I'm gonna steal that. None of us are undefeated in life. Sorry to disrail you, but that's good. I'm gonna take that.
It's true, right? So if you don't have that kind of mentality of, okay, I'm down 70-2, I got to get up. And on this next play, I got to play with the same excellence that I would if I was up 70-2. Life is going to steamroll you. And I think that that's the beauty of sports, team sports in particular, and what it teaches you about life while it's teaching you about the game. Yeah. So I don't know. Sports is just it's a beautiful thing to be around, and getting the opportunity to continue to be around it now into my mid 30s, you into your almost 40s, right? We are truly blessed in that way. And you know, it's just one of those things where you wake up, you eat, breathe, and sleep and poop, and only think about sports, and it's a blessed life that a lot of people don't get to live. Big um biggest coaches your coaching philosophy in 3 words.
Day by day.
That's You know what? I might put that one on the shirt. Just be like,
Go.
day by day, Nebraska and Coach Dallas. Oh, and Coach Darren, all underneath it.
There we go. Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Alright, so do you got any hype songs?
Boy, you know what? There's two types of people in this world. There's Creed fans and there's liars. So, anything by Creed, that's gonna get me going. Some AC/DC, yeah, all the good
Okay,
stuff.
all the old school rock. Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah.
You get any rap or anything like that, or is it always just rock?
Boy, and probably when I was a kid, I probably enjoyed it. Probably not so much anymore, but maybe the 90s because there were some great rappers in the 90s, but not too
That's
much
true.
these days.
Yeah, not any of the mumble rap, huh? Like,
I can't
I feel you.
follow it. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel you. I'm like, half the time I'm like, "What did he just say?" You know, like, I don't know the
Cool
lyrics to
beat.
this song, but it's a nice beat.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, alright, so I ask everybody we're getting ready to end this thing, but I ask everybody, on the show, what does being unbothered mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, competition is really tough. Being a coach is really tough. Being an athlete's tough. You're very vulnerable. It's something that you're passionate about, but competition. If we won all the time, we wouldn't appreciate it. And the lows make us appreciate the highs. And you got to ride the you got to ride the highs.
Gotta ride them too.
Right.
No, just kidding.
Yeah, yeah. You got to ride the highs. You got to ride the lows. And you just got to stay stoic about it because that's life. Just day by day, you gotta roll with the punches because, we all have responsibilities in life. I think being a parent for a lot of us, really, really brings that to fact is that, you're not gonna be motivated to get up every single day and go to work, but you know what? You gotta put food on the table, you gotta provide. You're gonna have, some days you're gonna have anxiety and you're gonna be stressed and people are gonna be judging you, and you just gotta keep chopping wood.
Yeah, yeah, if you wait till the day you're motivated to do something, you're never gonna do it. Maybe you'll do it
That's
once a year.
Yeah.
You know? Maybe once a year, I'm motivated to get up and work. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know? Um, cool, okay. Coach Dallas Hartwell, appreciate you coming through the Unbothered podcast and joining us for a conversation today. That is a wrap on today's conversation with Coach Hartwell, the CFL agent, the Branson School head coach, the leader, the visionary, the culture setter of the new WNFC franchise, the Golden State Storm, a U.S. Army veteran, Nebraska alum. Thank you so much for your service. I didn't tell you that. Thank you so much for your military service, sir. And a leader of men and women who has proven that football is for everybody and it's more than wins and losses. So, Coach Dallas, thank you so much for sharing your story, your vision, your unbothered mindset with us today. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you subscribe to Unbothered and wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. I don't know where you get your podcasts, Carrier Pigeon, wherever you get them. Subscribe so that you don't miss any of the extras coming up and the conversations that keep pushing women's sports, women's football, women's basketball, women's sports culture forward. I am your host, OC. And until next time, y'all stay focused, stay fearless, and above all, stay unbothered.
Yeah, we in this here, we never leaving, we killing this here, eating this here, leaving no crumbs, give you something to feel. Unbothered is real, more than a move, it's the weight in the will, built for the climb, the story's the grind. This ain't just a pot, it's a whole state of mind. Limitless life, you can keep moving.